Once upon a time, in a peaceful valley surrounded by green hills, there was a small village called Whispering Hollow. The village was famous for a magical tree known as the Lantern Tree. It stood at the edge of the village with a huge trunk and countless branches, each holding a glowing lantern. Every evening, as the sun disappeared behind the hills, the lanterns lit up by themselves and filled the entire valley with a warm, golden light. The villagers loved the tree because it guided travelers home, brightened dark nights, and made everyone feel safe and happy. Among the villagers lived a curious girl named Elara. She was known for asking questions that no one else thought to ask. While most people simply enjoyed the lantern tree, Elara often wondered why it glowed and where its light came from. One evening, while sitting beneath the tree, she noticed something unusual. One lantern near the top was dark. At first, she thought she had imagined it, but when she returned the next night, she saw that another lantern had grown dim as well. Concerned, Elara decided to find out what was happening. The next morning, she visited Old Rowan, the village storyteller. He listened carefully as she explained what she had seen. After a long silence, he told her an ancient secret. According to old legends, the lantern tree was connected to the hearts of the people in the valley. Its light was strengthened by kindness, friendship, and hope. When people cared for one another, the lanterns shone brightly. But when people became distant, selfish, or lonely, the lanterns slowly faded. Hearing this, Elara realized that the dark lanterns might be a sign that something was wrong in the village. Determined to help, Elara spent the following days walking throughout the valley. She noticed small problems that many people ignored. Two neighbors argued over a misunderstanding. Old friends had stopped speaking to each other after a disagreement. An elderly woman struggled to repair her fence alone. Elara helped wherever she could. She listened to people's problems, encouraged them to talk, and reminded them of the importance of kindness. Slowly, relationships began to improve. People apologized, forgave one another, and started helping their neighbors again. Although some lanterns became brighter, others continued to dim. Elara knew there had to be another cause. One afternoon, she climbed a hill overlooking the valley and noticed a strange gray mist drifting from the northern woods. Curious, she followed it deep into the forest. There she discovered an ancient stone well surrounded by dark mist. As she stared at it, a silver fox appeared and introduced himself as Ash. To Elara's surprise, the fox could speak. Ash explained that the mist was made from loneliness inspiration. Whenever people forgot how connected they were, the well filled with darkness and released the mist into the valley. Elara asked how the well could be healed. Ash told her that it could not be filled with water or earth. Instead, it needed stories. Confused but hopeful, Elara returned to the village and shared everything she had learned. The villagers trusted her and agreed to help. That evening, everyone gathered beneath the lantern tree. One by one, they began telling stories. Some spoke about childhood adventures, while others shared memories of loved ones. There were stories that made people laugh, and stories that brought tears to their eyes. As neighbors listened to one another, they felt closer than they had in years. The storytelling gatherings continued night after night. Families shared meals together, friends reconnected, and neighbors spent more time helping one another. The sense of community grew stronger with each passing day. Meanwhile, the dark mist in the forest slowly disappeared. When Elara and Ash returned to the well several weeks later, they found it filled with clear, sparkling water instead of darkness. The loneliness that had once spread across the valley was gone. That same evening, Elara looked up at the lantern tree and gasped with joy. Every lantern was glowing brightly again. The golden light seemed more beautiful than ever before. The villagers celebrated with music, dancing, and laughter. They named the occasion the Festival of Light and promised to celebrate it every year. More importantly, they promised never to forget the lesson they had learned. True light does not come from magic lanterns alone. It comes from kindness, friendship, understanding, and the stories people share with one another. Late that night, after the celebration ended, Elara sat beneath the lantern tree and watched the lanterns sway gently in the breeze. The village was peaceful. The stars sparkled overhead, and a warm glow filled the valley. Ash the fox appeared beside her and quietly said, "You helped save the light." Elara smiled and shook her head. "No," she replied, "we all did." As the night grew deeper and the village drifted to sleep, a year had passed since the villagers of Whispering Hollow saved the lantern tree. The Festival of Light had become a cherished tradition, and every evening the golden lanterns glowed warmly above the village. Life was peaceful once again. Elara continued exploring the valley with her friend Ash, the silver fox, and the people of the village remained kinder and closer than ever before. One autumn evening, while Elara was walking beneath the lantern tree, she noticed something strange. The lanterns were glowing as brightly as ever, but one lantern near the highest branch shone with a pale blue light instead of gold. It sparkled like a tiny star trapped inside a glass lantern. Elara had never seen anything like it before. That night, she could not stop thinking about the blue lantern. The next morning, she hurried to find old Rowan. The storyteller listened carefully and nodded as though he had been expecting her visit. "A blue lantern," he said quietly. "Then the star lantern has awakened." "The star lantern?" Elara asked. Old Rowan pulled an ancient book from a dusty shelf. Inside were faded drawings of the lantern tree. "Long ago," he explained, "the lantern tree was said to contain one special lantern. It only awakens when the valley is ready for a new journey. According to legend, it points toward the sky garden." Elara's eyes widened. "What's the sky garden?" "No one knows for certain," Rowan replied. "Some say it floats above the clouds. Others believe it is hidden beyond the mountains. It has not been seen for generations." That evening, Elara returned to the lantern tree. The blue lantern glowed brighter than before. Suddenly, a beam of pale blue light stretched across the sky, pointing towards the distant northern mountains. Ash appeared beside her. "I suppose we're going on an adventure," he said. The next morning they packed supplies and followed the blue light. The path led them through forests, across rivers, and into places Elara had never visited before. Along the way, they met unusual creatures. They helped a family of rabbits whose burrow had flooded after heavy rain. They guided a lost owl back to its nest high in an ancient oak tree. Each act of kindness seemed to make the blue light shine a little brighter. After several days of traveling, they reached the northern mountains. Hidden among the cliffs was a narrow passageway covered with silver vines. At the end of the passage stood a stone archway carved with stars and moons. As Elara stepped through the archway, she gasped. Beyond it lay a breathtaking garden floating above the clouds. Crystal flowers shimmered in every color imaginable. Trees with silver leaves swayed gently in a wind that carried the scent of honey and rain. Streams of glowing water flowed through the garden like ribbons of light. "The sky garden," whispered Ash. In the center of the garden stood a fountain made of crystal. Yet something was wrong. The water flowed slowly, and many of the flowers had begun to fade. An elderly woman dressed in robes of pale blue approached them. "I have been waiting for you," she said kindly. "Who are you?" Elara asked. "I am Lyra, the keeper of the sky garden." She explained that the garden was connected to the dreams and hopes of many lands. For centuries it had flourished, but recently fewer people had taken time to share kindness, wonder, and imagination. As a result, the garden's magic was weakening. "Can we help?" Elara asked. Lyra smiled. "That is why the star lantern called you." The keeper handed Elara a small crystal seed. "The seed must be planted in the heart meadow at the center of the garden, but it will only grow if nourished by acts of kindness." Over the following days, Elara and Ash traveled throughout the sky garden, helping everyone they met. They repaired broken bridges for cloudbirds, reunited lost creatures with their families, and encouraged lonely travelers to share their stories. Each good deed caused the crystal seed to glow brighter. Finally, they planted the seed in the heart meadow. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ground trembled softly. A brilliant tree of crystal and starlight burst from the earth. Its branches stretched toward the heavens, and thousands of glowing blossoms opened at once. Light spread across the entire sky garden. The fading flowers bloomed again. The stream sparkled more brightly, and the fountain flowed with renewed strength. The garden had been saved. Lyra thanked them and gave Elara a small crystal lantern as a gift. "Whenever Whispering Hollow needs guidance," she said, "this lantern will show the way." Soon it was time to return home. The blue light guided Elara and Ash back through the mountains and forests until they finally reached the valley. The villagers welcomed them with cheers and celebration. That night, during the Festival of Light, Elara hung the crystal lantern on the lantern tree. Immediately, the lantern joined the others and shone with a beautiful blue glow. From that day forward, the villagers knew that beyond the mountains and above the clouds, the sky garden was flourishing once more. And whenever children asked why one lantern glowed blue while all the others glowed gold, Elara would smile and tell them the story of the adventure that had carried her beyond the clouds. The children listened with wonder. The lantern sparkled overhead, and the lantern tree continued to watch over Whispering Hollow, filling the valley with light, hope, and dreams for many years to come.